Every morning, as the sun rises over the busy street, a golden-furred dog arrives outside Mike's general store. He sits patiently, his eyes scanning every passerby, his ears perking up at every familiar sound. No one knows where he comes from, but he never begs, never whimpers. He just waits. Mike, the store owner, notices the dog's unwavering presence and starts feeling an odd curiosity about him. Days turn into weeks, and the dog's routine never changes. Some customers toss him scraps, some pat his head, but he remains fixated on the store's entrance. Mike starts leaving a bowl of water outside, watching as the dog gratefully drinks, but never steps inside. The connection between them grows, though neither knows why. One evening, as Mike locks up, he notices the dog trotting away into the dimly lit streets. His curiosity piques. Where does he go every night? He follows at a distance, heart pounding with anticipation. Mike's steps are quiet as he follows the dog, keeping his distance, just enough to stay hidden in the shadows. The dog doesn't seem to notice him, moving steadily through the streets. Mike's heart races with each step, the suspense building. They reach a small park at the edge of town, where the dog stops near an old bench. He sits, staring at the empty space beside him, waiting. Mike watches from a distance, wondering what the dog's next move will be. The next morning, Mike decides to ask around. He speaks to the local people who pass by his store, but no one knows anything about the dog's past. That is, until an elderly woman, Mrs. Lewis, speaks up. "Oh, you're talking about Buddy," she says softly. "He used to have a different owner, a kind young man named Jason, but he hasn't been around for years." Mike feels a chill run down his spine. Why hasn't Buddy's owner come back? What happened to him? Mike finds himself thinking about the dog more than ever. Who was Jason? Why does Buddy wait so faithfully every single day? He decides to investigate further. The following morning, he heads to the park where the dog waited the night before. There, Mike encounters a few more locals, one of whom recognizes the dog's old collar. "That's Buddy's," a man says, pointing to the faint engraving. Jason loved that dog, but after that accident, Buddy's been waiting for him ever since. Mike is struck with a sense of deep sadness, the mystery now tangled with grief. Mike learns the truth that shakes him to the core. Jason, Buddy's owner, had been in a tragic car accident years ago. He didn't survive, and ever since, Buddy has been waiting outside Mike's store every day, hoping to see his owner walk through the door again. The dog's loyalty and grief have kept him rooted in the same spot. Even without understanding the finality of Jason's death, Mike feels a lump in his throat. Mike begins to visit Buddy every morning. He brings food, water, and sometimes just sits beside him in silence. They've both experienced loss in different ways, but Mike starts to understand that Buddy's loyalty is something pure, something that transcends time and even death. One morning, after sitting for hours with Buddy, Mike sees something that causes his heart to race. Buddy looks up at the door, his tail starts wagging, and he stands as though he recognizes someone. But no one is there. Mike swallows hard, realizing that the dog's devotion might never cease, even if Jason is gone. Mike decides it's time to let Buddy know that his wait has to end. Not because Jason is coming back, but because he deserves a life of peace. He takes Buddy to the spot where Jason had once walked with him. Mike speaks softly to the dog. "I know you miss him, Buddy, but it's okay to let go." Tears fill Mike's eyes as the dog rests his head against his leg, as if he understands. It's a bittersweet goodbye, not to Jason, but to the past. Mike continues to visit Buddy every morning. Slowly, the dog starts to trust him more, his once solitary waits at the store becoming a little less frequent. Mike can see that Buddy is beginning to let go of his old routine, as though he's learning to embrace the new chapter of his life. But there are still moments when Buddy stands at the door, eyes fixed on the street, tail wagging as if expecting someone. And Mike, in those moments, feels a tug at his heart. He can never replace Jason, but he's starting to realize that Buddy is teaching him about unconditional love. One afternoon, after a particularly long morning of waiting outside the store, Buddy does something unexpected. He walks into the store. Mike's heart races as the dog sniffs around, gently walking to the counter and sitting down at Mike's feet, as though asking for something. It's a small step, but it feels like a miracle. For the first time, Buddy is allowing himself to be inside the store, to be close to Mike. This quiet acceptance is more powerful than any words Mike could say. Weeks pass, and Buddy starts spending more time inside the store. He lies by the door, watching the world outside, but not running to it. Mike has started to make Buddy a regular part of his day, taking him to the park, feeding him his favorite treats, and even talking to him about his own life. Though the pain of losing his own family still lingers, Mike feels a sense of healing, a sense of peace that he's never known before. Buddy isn't just a dog, he's a companion, a reminder that love can heal even the deepest wounds. One morning, a couple of weeks later, Mike notices Buddy looking out the window, his ears perked up. He's not waiting for Jason. Mike realizes that Buddy has found a new purpose. He's waiting for someone else. The store's regular customers come and go, but now Buddy waits, with a kind of quiet hope, every time a child passes by. Mike watches as the dog watches them, his eyes full of warmth. Perhaps Buddy is waiting for love from a new generation. That afternoon, a woman walks into the store with a little girl. Buddy's reaction is immediate. His tail wags furiously as he trots over to them. The little girl crouches down, and Buddy immediately presses his face into her hands, licking her with excitement. Mike can't help but smile. It's the first time Buddy has shown such warmth to a stranger, and it touches him deeply. The little girl looks up at Mike, her eyes wide with wonder. "He's so sweet," she says. "I think he likes me." Mike feels a lump in his throat. Maybe this is what Buddy has been waiting for all along. In the following days, Buddy becomes attached to the little girl named Emma. Every time she comes to the store with her mother, Buddy is there, sitting patiently, waiting for her to visit. Mike watches this new bond unfold, and it gives him a deep sense of peace. The circle of love and loss continues. But with each new connection, the healing grows stronger. Buddy's story isn't over. It's just beginning. One evening, Mike sits beside Buddy, stroking his fur. He knows the dog's past will always be a part of him. But he's finally realized something. Buddy's love for Jason didn't end when Jason left this world. It lives on in the connections he makes, in the lives he touches. Mike looks down at the dog and whispers, "You've taught me so much, Buddy. It's time for us to keep going, together." And as Buddy looks up at him, Mike feels a deep sense of gratitude. Buddy's loyalty, his waiting, his love, it wasn't for nothing. It was for this moment, this life they now share. As the weeks pass, Mike and Buddy's bond strengthens even more. Emma continues to visit the store, and Buddy's days are filled with love and attention. Mike can see that Buddy is no longer the same dog who once sat alone outside the store, waiting for a master who would never return. Instead, he's a dog who has found a new home, a new family, and a new purpose. And as Buddy looks up at Mike one morning, a look of pure contentment in his eyes, Mike knows one thing for sure. Love never truly fades. It transforms, it grows, and it lives on. One afternoon, as Mike is cleaning the counter, he spots a familiar face at the door. It's Mrs. Lewis, the elderly woman who first told him about Buddy's past. She walks in with a somber expression on her face, holding something in her hands. "I've been meaning to give this to you," she says softly, handing Mike a framed photograph. It's an old picture of Jason, standing beside Buddy. Mike's heart skips a beat. He takes the photo gently, his fingers tracing the edges. "Buddy never forgot him," Mrs. Lewis continues. "He never did, but I think he's starting to find peace now. He's found a new reason to keep going." Mike gazes at the photograph for a long moment. The image of Jason with Buddy brings back painful memories, but also a sense of closure. He places the photo on the counter where Buddy can see it, and the dog approaches, sniffing it gently. Mike watches quietly, knowing that Buddy will always carry a piece of Jason in his heart. But now, with each passing day, Buddy is allowing himself to be loved again. It's a sign that both of them are healing from the scars of the past. A week later, Emma visits with her mother, and Buddy immediately runs to her, tail wagging. But today, there's something different. Emma has brought along a small stuffed dog, a gift for Buddy. She holds it up to him with a big smile. "This is for you, Buddy," she says. Buddy sniffs the stuffed dog, and then, to Mike's surprise, gently picks it up in his mouth. It's the first time he's shown interest in something other than people. Mike chuckles, feeling his heart swell with warmth. Buddy has a new friend, and Emma's love has opened a new chapter for him. As winter sets in, Mike and Buddy become a familiar sight around town. People stop by the store to say hello to Buddy, and Emma often visits after school. Buddy's transformation from a dog who waited in sorrow to one who enjoys the company of others is nothing short of miraculous. But the most touching moments are when Mike sees Buddy lying peacefully on the store floor, Emma curled up beside him, her head resting on his back. There's no longer any trace of the old sadness in Buddy's eyes. He's a dog reborn, surrounded by love and the healing power of friendship. One cold evening, as Mike locks up the store for the night, he feels a deep sense of gratitude for the journey he's shared with Buddy. He kneels down beside the dog, running his fingers through Buddy's soft fur. "We've been through a lot together, haven't we, boy?" he whispers. "But I'm so glad you're here now, and you're not alone anymore." Buddy looks up at Mike with a look that says everything. A look of love, trust, and contentment. Mike smiles, knowing that no matter what the future holds, they will always be there for each other. One crisp morning, after a particularly beautiful night under the stars, Mike and Buddy sit outside the store. For the first time in a long while, Buddy seems content, truly content. He watches the people pass by, his tail wagging lazily, his eyes peaceful. It's as though he knows that the long wait is over. Jason may not have returned, but he has found something just as valuable: a home, a family, and a future filled with love. Mike watches Buddy with a deep sense of gratitude, feeling the weight of their shared journey. He knows that Buddy no longer has to wait for anyone, because he is loved, and that, in itself, is enough. The days grow warmer as spring approaches, and life in the small town seems to bloom once again. Mike continues to run his store, Buddy always by his side, and Emma and her mother frequent the shop, bringing new light to Buddy's life. One afternoon, as Mike prepares to close the store, he sees someone standing by the door, an older man with a familiar warm smile. Mike freezes for a moment, his heart racing. The man steps inside, his eyes scanning the store before landing on Buddy. "Buddy?" The voice is soft but filled with recognition. Mike's eyes widen. It's Jason's father, the man who had raised Buddy alongside his son. He had been away, grieving his son's loss, but now he's come back to see the dog who had been so loyal to Jason. Buddy's ears perk up at the sound of the voice, and without hesitation, he trots over to the man, his tail wagging in excitement. Mike watches as the man kneels down to greet Buddy, tears filling his eyes. "You've been waiting, haven't you, old friend?" he whispers, rubbing Buddy's ears. Buddy licks his face, as though confirming his loyalty is as strong as ever. It's the moment Mike never expected, a reunion that feels like a full circle. The pain of the past is still there, but now it is softened by the presence of love and healing. Buddy has waited, but now he has everything he needs: a family, a home, and the love of those who never forgot him. That evening, as Mike walks Buddy back to the store after the emotional reunion, he feels a profound peace settle over him. The dog who once waited alone, longing for the return of a lost loved one, has found his place in the world. He no longer has to wait for the past to come back. His future is filled with love, companionship, and hope. And as Mike and Buddy step inside the store, closing the door behind them, they know that the best part of their story is just beginning. As the seasons change, Buddy becomes a symbol of hope and loyalty in the town. He no longer waits by the door with sadness in his eyes, but with a gentle understanding of the love that surrounds him now. Mike, too, has found a renewed purpose in his life, with Buddy by his side every step of the way. The old photo of Jason and Buddy still sits on the counter, a reminder of the past, but it's no longer the only focus. Mike has come to appreciate the present, cherishing each day with Buddy and the new connections they've made. One afternoon, as Mike watches Buddy interact with Emma and other children who visit the store, he feels a deep sense of pride. The dog has become a part of the community, loved and admired by everyone. It's as though Buddy's journey has inspired others to embrace love and loyalty in their own lives. Mike can't help but feel a profound gratitude for the little moments, those that often go unnoticed but carry the most meaning. Buddy's presence has touched more lives than Mike could have ever imagined. One quiet evening, as Mike and Buddy sit on the porch outside the store, Buddy lays his head on Mike's lap, gazing up at him with a look of contentment. It's a peaceful silence, the kind that only true companions can share. Mike runs his fingers through Buddy's fur, feeling a deep sense of connection. In that moment, Mike realizes something profound. Buddy didn't just teach him about loyalty or love. He taught him about patience and healing. The wounds of the past don't disappear overnight, but they can be healed slowly, through time and understanding. Weeks pass, and one crisp autumn day, Buddy seems to slow down a little. His steps aren't as quick as they once were, and Mike notices that he's spending more time lying by the counter than running around the store. While Buddy is still full of life, there's a quiet calm to him now, a peacefulness that comes from having lived a life full of love, connection, and memories. Mike watches over him, knowing that the time they have together is precious. Buddy's journey has been long and full of twists, but now he's at peace, knowing that he's been loved and cared for in ways he never imagined. One morning, as Mike opens the store, Buddy is lying peacefully on his favorite spot by the counter. But today, there's a stillness in the air, one that feels different. Mike kneels beside Buddy, gently stroking his fur, and feels an overwhelming sense of gratitude. This has been a life well lived. After everything Buddy has been through, he's finally found peace. It's a bittersweet realization. Buddy may not have been able to bring Jason back, but he has brought so much joy and love to those around him, including Mike. That evening, Buddy peacefully passes away in his sleep, surrounded by the love of his new family and friends. Mike's heart breaks, but there's no regret, only the knowledge that Buddy's spirit will live on in the stories they shared, the lessons he taught, and the love he spread. The news of Buddy's passing spreads through the town, and the people who knew him come together to honor his memory. Mike organizes a small memorial at the store, where the community gathers to celebrate Buddy's life. Emma places the stuffed dog she gave Buddy in the corner of the store, a symbol of the love they shared. As Mike looks around at the people who came to pay their respects, he realizes that Buddy's journey wasn't just about waiting for a lost loved one. It was about showing the world what true loyalty and love look like. Months later, Mike still runs his store, but the emptiness of not having Buddy by his side is palpable. He has grown accustomed to the quiet moments, the long walks, and the routine they shared. But as he looks out at the door where Buddy once waited, he feels a sense of peace. Buddy's life was a reminder that love is timeless, that it transcends the boundaries of time and space. And while Mike can never replace Buddy, he knows that the dog's legacy lives on, through the people he touched, the lessons he imparted, and the love that continues to spread. Mike smiles softly, whispering into the wind, "Thank you, Buddy. You'll always be with us." Life in the town slowly adjusts after Buddy's passing, but the impact of the loyal dog still lingers. Mike often finds himself looking at the empty spot by the door where Buddy once lay. But instead of sorrow, there's a quiet sense of gratitude. He feels as if Buddy's spirit is still present, lingering in the memories of all who knew him. One afternoon, while Mike is reorganizing the shelves, a young woman enters the store. She's new to town, just moved in with her son. Her eyes scan the shop, and as she approaches the counter, Mike notices the child. He's clutching a small stuffed dog, identical to the one Emma had given Buddy. "Is this a dog-friendly store?" the woman asks, her voice hesitant. Mike smiles warmly, seeing the familiar glint of hope in her eyes. "It sure is," he says. "We've had our fair share of canine visitors." The woman chuckles softly, and Mike feels an unspoken connection between them, as if the story of Buddy is passing on to someone new. The woman, named Clara, begins coming by the store regularly. Over time, Mike gets to know her better. She's a kind-hearted soul who works as a teacher and has a young son named Jake, who has a special fondness for the stuffed dog he carries everywhere. Mike can see that Clara and Jake are healing from their own struggles, and he finds a sense of comfort in their quiet companionship. One day, Jake drops the stuffed dog on the floor, and Buddy's old collar, framed by Mike, catches the boy's attention. He picks it up and asks, "Who is this for?" Mike smiles gently. "That's for a dog named Buddy. He was very special. He taught everyone about love, loyalty, and waiting, even when we didn't understand why." Jake looks at the collar for a moment before saying, "I think Buddy was a superhero." Mike laughs softly, wiping a tear from his eye. "I think you're right." As the months pass, Clara and Jake become part of Mike's daily routine. The store, once a place of solitude after Buddy's passing, is now filled with the sound of laughter, of stories shared, and of new connections being made. Jake's laughter fills the air, and Mike can't help but see a bit of Buddy's spirit in the way the boy plays with his stuffed dog, always bringing it into the store with him. Mike has started to realize that the love and joy Buddy brought into the store didn't disappear with his passing. It's still alive, carried in the hearts of those who remember him. Every time Clara and Jake walk through the door, it feels as if Buddy's love is passing through them, filling the space that had once felt empty. One rainy afternoon, Mike stands by the window, looking out at the town. He thinks back to when he first met Buddy, how the dog had seemed so lost, so heartbroken. He had been waiting for a love that would never return. Yet through that waiting, he had become a beacon of hope for everyone who met him. Mike knows that he's a better person because of Buddy's lessons. He's learned to appreciate the quiet moments, to cherish the relationships he has, and to never stop believing that love can heal, no matter how broken the past may seem. As he gazes out the window, Mike notices Jake and Clara walking down the street, the boy's stuffed dog tucked under his arm. He feels a wave of emotion wash over him as he watches them. Mike knows that Buddy's legacy isn't just in the store or in the memories he left behind. It's in the new bonds that are being formed, the love that is being passed on. Years pass, and Mike's store becomes a place where the town's memories are woven together. The new generations, like Jake, grow up hearing stories of Buddy, the dog who waited, the dog who taught people how to love and heal. Mike keeps the old photograph of Jason and Buddy framed on the counter, but now there's a new picture next to it. Jake, holding the same stuffed dog Buddy once sniffed, smiling as he stands beside Mike. The store becomes a symbol of continuity, a place where people come to find not just goods, but a sense of belonging, of family. Buddy's legacy lives on in the hearts of everyone who visits, reminding them of the power of love, patience, and the unexpected ways that life heals us. One quiet evening, as Mike closes up the store for the night, he feels a peaceful contentment wash over him. The store is filled with the soft scent of wood and the hum of memories. Buddy may not have been physically present, but his love has lived on, passed down through the lives he touched. Mike locks the door and steps outside, looking up at the stars. He smiles, knowing that Buddy's journey was never about an end. It was always about the lives that were changed, the love that was shared, and the quiet, enduring promise that love never truly fades, it just changes form, passing from one heart to another. As Mike heads home, he hears the familiar sound of footsteps behind him. He turns and sees Clara and Jake walking toward him, and with a soft smile, he knows that Buddy's spirit is still guiding them all. Mike, Clara, Jake, and the community continue to honor Buddy's legacy, sharing stories of his life and his unwavering loyalty. The lesson that Buddy taught them, of waiting with love, of finding healing even in the deepest sorrow, remains a cornerstone of their lives. The story of Buddy is told again and again, not as a tale of loss, but as a reminder that love is the greatest gift we can give and receive. And as the years go by, Buddy remains forever in their hearts, a shining example of the power of unconditional love. Years later, Mike sits by the store's window, watching the new generation of children play outside. He reflects on the long journey he's traveled with Buddy, how at first he had only been the storekeeper, a man going through the motions of life, but Buddy had changed everything. The dog had taught him that life isn't just about existing, it's about connection. The bonds we form, the love we give, and the memories we create shape us. One winter afternoon, Mike receives a package with no return address. Inside, he finds an old leather-bound journal. Opening it, he sees a letter from Clara, Jake's mother. It reads, "Dear Mike, I've been meaning to write this for a long time. It's been a few years since we met you and Buddy, but I wanted you to know how much our lives have changed since that day. Jake talks about Buddy constantly, and I'm sure you've noticed how much he carries the lessons he learned from him. Buddy was more than just a dog. He was a teacher, a friend, and a reminder that love transcends everything. We've started a little tradition in our family. Every year, on Buddy's anniversary, we take a walk through town, just like Buddy used to. We talk about all the wonderful memories we have of him. I wanted to share this journal with you. It's filled with stories, letters, and thoughts that Jake and I have written about Buddy over the years. We hope it brings you as much peace as it has brought us. With love, Clara, and Jake. Mike feels a rush of emotion as he reads the letter. He holds the journal close to his chest, knowing that Buddy's influence will never truly fade. It will live on in the stories shared, the memories created, and the hearts that continue to carry his legacy. The years pass, but the story of Buddy never loses its power. The town begins to hold an annual event in Buddy's honor, the Day of Love and Loyalty. It's a day where people from all walks of life come together to celebrate the values Buddy embodied: love, loyalty, and the strength to heal. Families gather, share stories, and remember the dog who changed their lives. Mike, Clara, and Jake are at the forefront of organizing the event each year, and it grows in significance with each passing year. On the day of the event, Mike is asked to give a speech. Standing in front of the crowd, he feels a deep sense of fulfillment. "Buddy taught us so much," Mike begins, his voice steady but full of emotion. "He wasn't just a dog, he was a friend, a reminder that love doesn't always come in the package we expect. Sometimes, love is a quiet presence, waiting patiently, even through pain. And it's through that patience, that love, that we heal." Buddy showed us how to live fully, how to embrace each moment, and never let go of the love we have for one another. The crowd is silent, everyone reflecting on the truth of Mike's words. In the distance, Jake stands with his stuffed dog, his eyes fixed on Mike. And for a moment, Mike sees Buddy in the boy's bright gaze. The cycle of love continues, and Buddy's presence fills the air, just as it always has. One evening, a few years after the first Day of Love and Loyalty event, a young boy named Lucas enters Mike's store. He's quiet, shy, and looks like he's come from a difficult situation. His eyes wander around the store before landing on the framed picture of Buddy that Mike still keeps on the counter. "That's Buddy," Mike says, walking over to the boy. "He was a very special dog. He taught everyone in this town about love, loyalty, and patience." The boy's eyes flicker with interest. Can I pet the dog?" Mike feels a pang in his chest, but he understands. He kneels beside Lucas and gently places a hand on the framed photo. He's not here anymore, but his spirit is. Buddy's love is still alive in this store, and in all of us. Lucas looks up at Mike, and for the first time since entering the store, a small smile breaks across his face. He sounds like a hero. Mike smiles warmly. Yes, Lucas, he was a hero. And you're a hero too, just for showing up. That night, as Mike closes up the store, he realizes that Buddy's story has become more than just a memory. It has become a foundation that new generations, like Lucas, can lean on when they need it most. Buddy's lessons aren't confined to the past. They are alive in every person who believes in the power of love and kindness. In the years that follow, Mike continues to run his store, now more than ever, a symbol of love, hope, and community. He has passed on Buddy's legacy to countless people through the stories, the traditions, and the lessons he teaches. And while the pain of losing Buddy will always remain, Mike has come to understand that true love never dies. It lives on in the hearts of those who carry it forward. One quiet morning, as Mike steps outside to grab the newspaper, he notices something unusual. A small dog, a mix of various breeds, stands by the door of the store, looking up at him with curious eyes. Mike stops in his tracks. For a moment, the dog looks just like Buddy, its gaze steady, full of intelligence and warmth. Mike crouches down and slowly extends a hand. The dog approaches, sniffing cautiously, then nuzzles into his palm. Mike smiles, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. Maybe, just maybe, Buddy's spirit has come full circle. With a gentle voice, Mike says, "Welcome home, Buddy." The dog's tail wags, and Mike feels that old, familiar sense of comfort. Love never truly ends. It just finds new forms, new faces, new places to reside. And Buddy's love will continue to guide him, and everyone else, for as long as they remember. This final stretch ties everything together, showing how Buddy's influence continues to ripple through time, shaping future generations, and leaving an indelible mark on the world. The arrival of a new dog hints at the possibility that love is cyclical, always returning to those who are ready to receive it. How do you feel about this ending? Would you like to add anything more, or does this conclusion feel right to you? As Mike spends more time with the new dog, whom he names Charlie, he begins to realize that some things never truly change. Charlie may not be Buddy, but there's something familiar about him, a certain quiet loyalty, a way of looking at the world with trust and patience. Mike takes Charlie to the store every day, just like he did with Buddy, and the dog settles in as if he's always belonged there. But Charlie's arrival brings a different kind of peace to Mike, one that comes from knowing that life continues to move forward, even after loss. Buddy's spirit is no longer just a memory, it's a living force that continues to guide Mike, now through Charlie. Mike starts to see that the lessons Buddy taught him about love, patience, loyalty, and healing are universal. They're not confined to the past, they're part of the future too. One evening, Mike sits on the steps outside the store with Charlie at his side. The sun is setting, casting a warm golden glow over the town. As he looks around, he sees people stopping by the store, some with their children, some with their pets, all sharing a quiet sense of belonging. Mike has become part of the fabric of the community, and it's all because of the lessons Buddy passed on. The small town has changed in many ways, but the heart of it remains the same. It's a place where love and kindness are valued, where stories are shared, and where people understand the power of loyalty. Mike has built a life that honors Buddy's memory and the lessons he taught. As Charlie lies beside him, Mike reflects on everything he's learned from the dog. It's not just about waiting for someone to return. It's about living fully in the present, loving those around you, and understanding that, sometimes, healing comes in unexpected forms. Over the years, Mike watches as the Day of Love and Loyalty grows into a major community event. It's no longer just a day to remember Buddy. It's a day to celebrate all the pets who have touched people's lives, and to honor the friendships and bonds that form over time. The town has become a place where people know how to love unconditionally, just as Buddy had shown them. As he stands in front of the crowd at the event, Mike sees Jake, now a teenager, standing by the entrance with his stuffed dog in his hands. Claire is beside him, and they smile at Mike as he begins his speech. Today we celebrate love. Love that doesn't ask for anything in return. Love that waits. Love that heals. Buddy taught us all how to be better, how to love deeper, and how to never let go of hope. And that lesson has stayed with us, passed from heart to heart, from generation to generation. The crowd cheers, and Mike's heart swells with pride. Buddy's story, and the love he had brought into their lives, has left a permanent mark on the world. As the years go by, Mike grows older, and Charlie's fur turns gray, just as Buddy's had. But even as his own body ages, Mike's heart remains full of the love Buddy taught him to give. He watches as the new generation of children enter his store, their faces full of wonder, and he tells them the story of Buddy, how he waited outside a store for days, not knowing what was inside, but trusting that the love he gave would be returned. On the day Mike decides to retire, he passes the keys to the store to Jake, who has grown up to be just as kind-hearted and compassionate as the people who came before him. Jake smiles at Mike, understanding the significance of the store and what it represents. Not just a place to buy goods, but a home for love, loyalty, and community. As Jake walks through the door to open the store for the first time on his own, Charlie stands beside Mike, wagging his tail. Mike looks down at the dog, and for a moment, he swears he can feel Buddy's presence next to him. With a soft smile, Mike whispers, "We did good, Buddy. We did good." And with that, the story of Buddy, the dog who taught an entire town the power of unconditional love, comes to a peaceful end.